All right, so we are going to talk a little bit more about Audrey's reading. You are her parents, so you know very well that she has gone already far and beyond what we expected from the average kindergartner. She is pretty easily reading at this point. We're only a few months into kindergarten. So I wanted to look a little bit more into that. So first, a few months ago, we completed the Flickers online assessment, which helped us a little bit more understand where she's at in her reading. So she earned a 787. She's the one in the purple lines. I had to edit out the other students' names, but she's the one both in the purple line. So she earned a 787, which puts her in the probable reader category. And as you can see, she's the only student in the probable reader category. We have one other student in the transitional reader category, and most of our students are in the late emergent reader category. So this basically means that she's reading already, or she's very, very close to it. So a few of the other areas of this test, specifically that I wanted to note on, were the phonemic awareness section and the phonics sections, phonemic and phonics. Both of these areas she earned very high. She earned 82s, which basically she knows either all of or most of her letters and her letter sounds, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Her vocabulary section was very high, 82, which means she's recognizing words and she knows them, and that's great. And her early numeracy was also great. She's at a 93, which means she's also pretty high in math. So what this told me was that, like I said, she's a very high reader and she's pretty advanced for her age. So we moved on to a reading assessment called the QRI. And basically what this did was helped me understand her reading skills a little bit more in a more complex fashion. So we started out by looking at a word list, and we tried to see which one she could recognize. Now she started at pre-primer 1. It goes up to pre-primer 2 and 3, and then primer, and then first, and this is where first graders should be. So pre-primer 1 is about where she maybe would be in kindergarten. Now she read through this word list completely fine. There were one or two that she wasn't sure on for a second, but she got them all at the end. So we moved up to pre-primer 2 and 3. Again, she moved through most of the words very well. And there were a few that she didn't know, just a few though, and there was a few that took her a second, but she got there in the end. So this already told us that basically she knew a lot. And we also did a sight word list, which are words that you can't sound out. So like a word cat, at, you can sound that out easily. But the word C, if you were to sound that out, you'd say s-eh-eh. So basically these are her sight words. These are words that you can't sound out and you have to memorize. So for these, she knew all of the words from pre-primer 1, pre-primer 2, and primer. So basically she's at a first grade level for her sight words already, and we'll talk more about that later too. But that led us to the second half of the test, which was we read through some passages. So the first passage we read, we started off at pre-primer 1, and she breezed through it. She knew all of the words, and she read through it very quickly. And she answered 4 out of the 5 comprehension questions correctly, which basically meant that she's understanding what she's reading for the most part, and she's recollecting it. So we placed her at instructional level, which is the mid-level, and we moved on to the next passage because she did pretty well in this one, and she read it pretty easily. Our second passage was the pre-primer 2 passage, and she only answered, sorry, let me turn this around. She read all of the words with a 91% accuracy, so she still got most of the words in this passage, no problem. Now, her comprehension level was a little bit lower in this one. She got 2 out of the 5 questions completely correctly, and one of them she answered in the vague areas, so we gave it about a 3 out of 5. So this placed her in the frustration level. And what that means, it doesn't mean that she was frustrated with it, but what it means is that this is the area where we want to stop, and we want to keep working with her in this area until we can move on. So, really quickly, I just wanted to discuss this one more area, and then we'll talk about what all this means. So we've tested her alphabet knowledge in the class. She knows all of her letters, capital and lowercase. She knew them all from day 1. Letter sounds, same thing. We tested all of her letter sounds, long vowels and short vowels. There are a few consonants that have hard and soft sounds, like G, G, J, for example. So that totaled out to 33, and she knew all of those too. Now, just to give you a frame of reference, for the alphabet knowledge, only 8 out of the 21 kids that we have in our class know all of the letters, just like Audrey does, and same for the letter sounds. Only 8 of them know all of our letter sounds, so she's doing pretty well. And as for our sight words, which again are the words that we ask them to memorize, there are 40 for kindergarten that we expect them to know by the end of the year. She currently knows 39 out of the 40, which is absolutely fantastic. So, and just to give you a frame of reference for that, she is the only student at that level. The next highest that a student knows, highest number of words, is 19. So she is soaring in that category. So basically, what all of this means is that Audrey is currently reading at a much higher level than all of her classmates. So what we are doing in the classroom is differentiating. So when we are teaching her, we are not leaving her at the level of the other students, because most of our activities are going to be a little low for her at this point. She is reading at close to almost a first grade level, which is fine, but we just alter all of our lessons so they're more challenging for her, and they meet her at her level instead of being boring for her, because she loves to learn, and she loves to read, and she loves to grow, and we want to keep her at that level and increasing. Now, the one area I wanted to talk about, which we can make our goal, is this area where we talked about the comprehension. So she is by no means low on her comprehension, but that seemed to be the one area that maybe needed some focus. So what our next goal is we're going to start working on comprehension more. So one, being able to focus on what she's reading as she reads it, and we are going to give her strategies to do that. We have strategies that we teach throughout the year, and she's just going to learn them a little sooner so that she is able to focus on what she's reading, take it in, and then be able to answer questions and take in the meaning of her reading later. And yeah, so that is about it. We will give you some strategies to work on those with her at home. And in her goal bag, her weekly goal bag, since like I said, she knows all of her sight words, we're going to start giving you the first grade sight words to get her working on those and to keep her moving. And that's just about it. You have a wonderful dollar. All right. Have a good day, guys.